submit and negotiate this offer? First of all, we have to discuss quite a few things with the buyer above and beyond just the price. We also need to talk about contingencies if there are going to be any, whether it's inspection, financing, or otherwise. We need to talk about what are their financing options. Do they have lender recommendations? I would give them 3 of my own lender recommendations. I prefer to have them work with somebody that I work with. Why? Because frankly, it gives us a better chance of the transaction closing because I have a relationship with these guys. I know what's going on. I know whether or not their pre-approval is going to hold water or not. Also, if you're on a team, it's probably a requirement of your team. And if it's not, it should be a requirement of the team that, hey, guess what? We're only going to recommend team lenders. Why? Because a couple of things. One, that lender is somebody that we have a relationship with, and if something goes wrong, we have leverage with that lender to make sure that they do what needs to happen to get the transaction closed. We're going to explain that to the buyer. That this lender has a vested interest in taking care of us because we send them a lot of their business, and they don't want us to pull that business by messing up your loan. Whereas Quicken or whoever online that you might be dealing with, they have no vested interest in you. You're one of thousands, and if something goes wrong, well, they'll just move on to the next. Now, another reason why, as a member of a team, that I really want to make sure I'm using the team's lenders is because those lenders probably help contribute to the cost of lead generation and other things at the team. They're probably a full and complete part of the team, and if not, they should be. They need to be part of our culture. They need to be a full and complete part of who we are as a team so that they know each and every team member, so the team members know them, both the buyer agents as well as the team leader and the administrative team members as well. All right, how about home inspections? Same thing, right? I'm going to recommend 3 home inspectors, not 1. I always like to recommend 3. And again, I want to make sure I'm only using home inspectors that are approved by my team. This is important. One of the things that I want to make sure as we're talking about home inspections is that the inspectors don't freak them out, right? There's always stuff. The inspector's job is to find the stuff that's wrong. And we want that. We also want to make sure that the inspector is capable of and does a great job of helping the buyers understand how big a deal is this particular issue on the inspection? What is it likely to cost? How does it get repaired properly? And with the help of the inspection report, we're going to go ahead and ask for reasonable repairs from the seller where appropriate. But we need to also make sure that the seller understands how that impacts their ability to get the house. Sometimes they might decide, hey, I'm going to waive the inspection altogether. Can be scary, but we need to have that conversation with them. But again, make that their choice, tell them the pros and cons of each. And if they don't waive that inspection, if they do ask for repairs, make sure that we're asking for the reasonable repairs. Don't ask for pie in the sky stuff. Like, don't say, hey, we want them to remodel the kitchen as part of the repair request, unless there's dry rot or some crazy damage in the kitchen or something like that, which generally isn't the case. All right, then we're going to write up the offer. We're going to present it to the listing agent. Hopefully the listing agent's going to present it to the seller. Ideally, and this is very rare nowadays, I love the opportunity to present directly to the seller. Nowadays that doesn't happen very often, but if you can do that, it certainly gives you an edge. And so if you can get the sellers and the listing agent to allow that, can be very helpful. And again, negotiate the offer for the win. Now, what does that really mean, right? What does it mean for the win? Who wins here? Is it my buyer? Is it me? Is it the seller? Is it the listing agent? Well, I'll tell you this. It needs to be all of the above. It needs to be a win-win, win-win, not just a win for your buyer, and not just a win for you. Why is that? For so many reasons, because negotiating the offer is the starting point. That's not the end point. We now have an entire transaction that we've got to get closed, and making sure that everybody is as happy as possible in the process, making sure that everybody feels like they're winning in the process, making sure that everybody stays on board through this process is very important to everyone getting what they want in the end, which is for this property to close and for it to change hands and the agents to get paid.